Hi guys, welcome to the lettering part 2. We are going to start our lettering now, so just bear with me 2 seconds. So, as I said in the last video, guys, welcome to the lettering part 2. Hang on 2 seconds. We are going to start. Hang on. Okay, that should be that. Right. Okay. So, as I said in the last video, you should have spaced out your letters, your boxes, so it's centered in your piece of wood. You would have come up with your 5-letter word. If you have any problems, as I say, just message me. So, now we're pretty much ready to cut. So obviously we're going to do the lettering first. So as in my previous videos, we're going to be using the angles to curve around the letters. So I'll just quickly go back over the basics of making a curve. But if you go back onto the old videos, then there's information on there about the cutting. So the main principle is that if I was mosaicing along a straight line, I would cut my glass into squares and then line them up in a straight line. So if I'm coming around a curve, to get round the curve, I take my square or my rectangle and I cut an angle, he says. Okay? Now, when I line the pieces up, so if I put an angle on one end and a straight on the other, can you see that? So I've put an angle, and if I line my next piece up, because it's got that angle on this end and a straight one on this piece, it's going to make it turn. So you just repeat. So you'd have a straight edge and then an angled side, and they all go in the same direction, and that's what makes the lettering flow, as in Roman times. This is a Roman technique. So you put an angle on one end, and it makes, when you line up the straight end on the next piece, because this end has an angle, it's going to make it turn. The more angle, the quicker it's going to turn. The less angle is more gentle. So for example, we're going to start with the C. So it's going to have more angles at the top and the bottom where it turns quicker, and then these angles here are going to be gentle. So there's quite a few angles in this, so obviously I'll just try and carry on explaining that point as we go along. Okay. So I've chosen to do gold, my lettering in gold. You could use any colour, as long as I say, if you're going to do a light background, you want something that's going to stand out against a light background, so a dark tone or a metallic. But if you're going to do a dark background, then obviously you want the lettering in a light tone. So it's about, because we're going to grout in a mid-tone to tie it all together. So you've got to have the difference if you want, especially with lettering. I think it's important that it's nice and clear. So if you were doing a name sign, you could see from a distance the writing, because if it's too light a tone, then obviously it's going to get a bit lost. So like this. So if my lettering was in this and the background this, then obviously you can see that that's gonna get lost. Okay. So I have wood glue here. Again, go back over the first videos if you want a bit more information on the gluing process, but basically it's wood glue because we're working on wood. I tend to put a nice area of glue down. It doesn't have to be precise because I want the whole board to be nice and glued to help protect the wood. Okay, on here I've put these. I was just doing an example that we might put some little flicks on the end of the lettering. We'll probably do that maybe towards the end. But I don't think I should put, obviously, that one as well, especially. It's going to look like, I don't want it to look like a G. Otherwise it would say graft, and that would be no good. So, we're going to go for points. So I've made a point there, if you can see that. I've just cut a point. So we're going to start from there. So again, because this point isn't as thick as my lettering, so like that, so if you can see that. It does sort of work gold because it shows up. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that. Sorry, move it there. So I don't want this. I don't want this corner. I don't want this corner sticking out. So I'm going to just cut it so it matches. So the width matches, and then it sort of blends in. Eesh. I haven't done that very well. Bear with. Okay. It's still not very good. So I'm just getting the ends to match. Need a different pair of 2 seconds, I need a different pair of nippers. These ones better. Okay. So what I did there was I just made this end, so it's going to get wider, so to the width of the pieces. But I want it to match. I don't want any corners sticking out. So again, I'm just going to do a little bit on this one. So I put it down, I have a look, see what needs adjusting, I adjust it, put it back. Yeah. Okay, perhaps I shouldn't have chosen gold. It's quite hot here today, so let me just put a bit more glue on. Okay, so finally I've managed to make it work so the pieces are now the same width. Bit of a struggle. I haven't actually done any mosaicing for a few days, so it takes a while to get your eye in sometimes. So there we go, that's better. Can you see that? Yeah, if I just get it in the right light, you can see. So from the point, I've graded it out to make, so now the pieces are pretty much the same thickness. So these I cut with a scoring pen, which I've showed you again in other videos, but I'll give you another example in a minute. Now with lettering as well, I always say, leave a little gap about a millimetre and a half between the pieces. But don't leave it too gappy because it's lettering, we want it to be nice and close and be able to read nice and clearly. So maybe it goes 0.5 millimetre gap. Okay. Okay, that's it. We're cooking now. It's all coming back to me. So again, as I said before, when we get to this bottom bit, because it curls, the pieces are going to get smaller, narrower, and the angle is going to get more acute to make it turn around this bit. That's not good. So I'm going to use smaller pieces. At the bottom. I'm doing this upside down, which is new for me, but I suppose it's all the same. And what should we you know, we don't have to. Oh, got that wrong one. You don't have to. You don't have to finish with a point. You can finish. I could finish with a block, just for something different. How about that? Maybe just finish with an end bit. Like so we can always come back. To the end and put on a little flick or something. But I say I don't want it to look like a G. Maybe like that. It's not too bad. Okay, we can leave that for now. Because we want to, we've got the R, because we've got the R here, we don't want this too close, we want a gap, so I'll have to move this over a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. So there we go, look, a C. C for craft. Okay, so, again, for the people that have been here before, my favourite saying is glue as you go. So I'll show you this. So you can see on this piece of glass, the gold, I've scored using the scoring pen, the Vital tool. I've scored some centimetres, so I've measured out centimetre spaces, and then with the ruler, because I want them pretty much the same width, because I don't want like too much variation in thickness. I could do like slightly thinner on the F and the T there, or maybe we'll go slightly thinner on the flicks. But I want them roughly the same width. So I've measured out 1 millimetre. The other tool is the blue runners. So you put those on there, you line up the line on top of the runner with the score, and this will probably won't break. Oh, there you go, look. Oh, perfect. Ooh. Oh, that's gone wrong, but look at that lovely bit there. So I'm sure we could use that point somewhere. So sometimes when it goes wrong, you end up with some lovely points, which we can use. That could almost make a brilliant R, end of an R. Anyway. Okay. Get rid of that. Get rid of that end. So we use this end bit. Like I say, I'm going to leave a gap between the C and the, I should work out the names of these things, the base of the R, and then we're just going to work up here. We're going to put a little bend on it. So that angle there is too much, so because that would push it too far over, too much at a sharper angle. So I'm just going to reduce that. That one, to my mind, was just a touch thicker. This one's just too thick, slightly too thick. Okay. Maybe too much, but maybe not, maybe not. And then we'll do another one here. Sometimes you can overdo the flicks and tricks, so we don't want it to be too difficult to read. So again, I just need to be careful because obviously the A is quite close to the end of the R there. So I want this bit to sit nicely against this angle. And I want to keep within the box because this is to keep it formal and fairly, neat. If you start going too far out of the parameters, it can get a bit messy. So maybe I'll get there's another bit on the end there. Maybe we'll just leave that for now. Again, don't want to overdo it. I want it to look like an R. See that? Yeah. Okay. I don't know why, but I tend to start with the straight bit. So if you've got a nice straight bit there, I'm working out. You could, if you've got your pen, because again we want it to the bottom of the box, to the top. So I could mark where the top is, cut that, and then just use that bit. And again, we could put a little flick on the end. Should we put a flick on the end? Maybe we should. So again, I'm going to cut a little, oops. What do we think? Does that work? Is this going a bit, it's a bit too tall, maybe take. So again, trying to keep it within the box. Does that work? We'll try. We'll see what it looks like. Again, as I said before, if we glue these pieces down, because we're gluing as we go, because it takes long enough as it does already. But if we're not happy, if it doesn't look right, then we can change it. We can get them off. We can dig them off. You can dig the pieces off, and then we'll change it if it doesn't look right. As I say, it's a bit weird for me to do it upside down, so I can't actually see exactly what's going on. So when you start on this against the straight edge, you've got to get that angle correct. So this angle, the angle where it sits against this long piece has got to be correct to make it go in the right direction. Because we want that to be down there. We want a gap. We don't want it too close up here. So we want it down there. And then because that bit is a little bit thinner, I'm going to have to... So again, I'm just widening. Push that down again. Sometimes your A's can look like O's, so you've got to make them look fairly obvious that it's an A. Sometimes you won't get it right first time. It will takes a good couple of goes, especially on the tricky bits. But once you're round, then obviously it gets easier. How's that look? Can we live with that? You see that? So I've gone up and then I'm going down and round. As before, try and keep in the box as much as possible. Again, so I can see it at the bottom. I've got to turn. It's got to turn quite quickly because it's got to get round and then up a little bit. And you want your bottom bit to just touch the bottom of this box. Sometimes it doesn't go right. So again, if you're not touching the bottom, maybe sometimes it's easy to push these pieces down and just wiggle them around just to make them fit how you want. So I want to come up, I want a skinny bit in here to make it turn. Maybe we can make this a bit smaller. Again, I'm going to do this end bit. Not happy with that bit. So I'm happy with that end there. So I just need to somehow sort out this last bit so that works. A's are actually pretty tricky, actually, is what I'm going to say. Especially when you're doing this top and bottom bit because it's further in. That's my excuse today. The main rule is that, as I said, the angles all go in the same direction, and the thickness is the same, and it all flows. They're not too bad. You can live with that. So I need to cut some more straight bits. So I'll just show you the cutting. So again, I'm going to do this. Try and do this freehand. Ooh, completely missed that one. So you can use a ruler if you find that it makes it easier. And then break them off one off the end. You need to break them down into groups, because that gives you more chance that they're going to break okay. Okay, we're moving on to the F. Again, Similar to the C, I suppose, really. Got a couple of tight bends at the top and the bottom, and then it goes straight in the middle. A fly in here bothering me. So again, I'm going to start fairly normal, fairly square. When you're doing a tight bend at the start, sometimes you have to shorten the piece because if it's got an angle, sometimes it's too like the pieces are too long, and you just have to shorten them a little bit. I'm using the wrong nippers. I'm just going to do an angle. And again, you can see that that's just a little bit too long on the end. I've got a bit hanging off. I'm going to take a little bite just to make it flow better. Ugh, I've ruined that bit. Forget that bit. And again, if it doesn't match, the better your pieces run onto each other, the easier it's going to be to do the background. So it's worth the perseverance on trying to get the lettering to run as much as you can on, piece to piece. Because the less bits sticking out, the less little nibbly bits sticking out, the easier your life is going to be when it comes to doing the background. So again, one of my golden rules. So I'm going to make a PDF of golden rules that I think are important. That's why they're called golden rules. And now I'll post that on the group as well. So my F is coming together. I'm going to put a little angle on the end of this longer bit. If you want to put in longer bits, you can do. There's no rule that the pieces have to be the same size. And really, when it's grouted and finished, it should all look. Your eye's just going to follow the flow of the lines. So whether the pieces are the same width or not, that's up to you. Some people like it, like if all the pieces are the same size. But I can't say. So that's me. So again, just going to put a similar end on here, and maybe at the end we'll put some flicks on. I don't want to go too far. I don't get too crazy. So maybe I'll use a skinnier bit here. Found a skinny bit. Put that on. Maybe that's a little bit long, maybe you just shorten that a touch. If you want to put another different end on it. There we go. F. Does that look like an F? Yeah. Graft. Okay. That was quick. Some letters are quicker than others. So again, because of the top over here, I'm just going to move my T over a little bit. I have a cup of tea somewhere. So again, it's up to you whether you do longer bits or keep them the same size. We're just going to move that over to the line that we actually drew, so just to leave, again, just making the gap at the top here better, that we can get a bit of background in there, nice bit of background to separate the F from the T. I'm just going to go one more there. I've put it at a little angle because we're going to start to turn around the bottom here. And the pieces, as I say, get smaller. You want to keep within the box, so I need to adjust this one. The angle needed to be more rapid to make it turn quicker. Try and keep in the box. So you can wiggle them around, move them around a little. In the glue, that's why we glue as we go. And we're going to turn. It's quite good, another good reason why, you know, if you can get them all finishing on the same line, sometimes you could put like in the background, if this was a different colour, you know, you could put a piece underneath to make it look like it's underlined, and then you'd have a piece there. I've gone over it with the C just to show you what not to do, but sometimes you can put, instead of bordering around every single letter, sometimes you can make a box around it if you've kept all your letters in the box. Put an end on there. Okay, so I need another piece here, maybe a little bit shorter than the F, just to make it a little bit different. Okay, oops, bash my head on the light. Again, I'd probably keep in like that in line there. And there we go. What does it say? Now I'll take some photos and I'm trying to get the R in so you can see the T craft. There we go. So I put this line here just because the C started a bit further over here. Does that matter? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe. I don't think so. Or the only other thing I could do is push this across a bit more, so the end fills up the box a little bit more. I'll have to replace this one, just to push that. So just put a thicker one in there. What's that? Do you think that makes a difference? A bit more even? I think so, maybe. So then it just gets a bit further across the board. So if you, like when we were cutting the glass earlier, just having a look, have we got any nice, really nice sharp points? Where would we put one? We could put one on the F. Maybe. One on the F. Very little one on the T. I don't know why I'm whispering. Oops, drop that bit. So you can put like square, rectangle-y ones on, or you can put triangle-y, flicky ones on. We've got one on the A. Should we put one on the R? Sometimes, yeah, put one like. I put one on one of each, just just to jazz it up maybe on the end of the R. A bit close to the A, so I think maybe over here would be better. One on the top of the R there. Oh no, we don't want one there because it will look like graft. Maybe that's enough. You can overdo it, which I have often. So there we go. Got better towards the end once I got my eye in. A bit rough at the start, but there we go, craft. I'll take some pictures, some stills, and I'll post them on the group, on the Patreon group and on the Facebook group. But if you want to join in, you need to join Patreon. It's $5 a month. We're going to do this every month, a different course. I'm going to do more on this tomorrow because I'm trying to get the videos done by mid part of the month. So I've got a week. So in the next video, I'm going to do some bordering. I'm going to border the letters. I'm going to border around the back, around the outside edge, maybe in the gold again. But I'll probably do a light colour. I'll probably do white around the lettering. And then I can do we'll do something different in the background, a different colour. And we'll see how it turns out. But yeah, not too bad. Okay guys, I will be back. And I'll try and do this a bit earlier because I end up doing it midday in the heat, so it's no good. And speak to you next time. Alright, take care, bye.